The terminal buzzed with the typical noise of a busy airport, rolling suitcases. Overhead announcements, hurried footsteps, and conversations in several languages. Amid all the motion, a young woman stood quietly in line near the check-in counter. She was wearing a faded pink t-shirt, simple jeans, and sneakers that had clearly seen better days. Her brown hair was tied back loosely, and in her hand, she carried just one worn travel bag. Her name was Clara. She was in her mid-20s, soft-spoken and humble. She had never cared much for fashion or wealth. All she wanted was a life filled with meaning, kindness, and love. And despite how ordinary she looked, her heart carried more grace and strength than most would ever see. Clara had arrived early for her flight. It was a domestic trip, one she was taking for a charity event she helped organize every year. Her husband, Damien, had insisted on sending a private jet, but she refused. She didn't want to make a show of herself. She never did. When she reached the check-in counter, the woman behind the desk barely looked up. Her name tag read, Sandra. She had a tight ponytail, glossy lipstick, and an attitude that matched the stiffness in her posture. Next, she barked. Clara stepped forward with a soft smile. "Hi, I'd like to check in for the 10:15 flight to Austin." Sandra gave her a quick glance, then a slow up and down look. Her brows furrowed with disapproval. "Do you have a ticket?" "Yes," Clara answered politely, reaching into her bag to retrieve the printed confirmation. Sandra snatched the paper and scanned it. "This can't be right. First class? With priority boarding?" Clara nodded. "Yes. My husband booked it." Sandra let out a small laugh. "Of course he did." Behind her, a few other employees snickered. Clara's face flushed, but she kept her voice steady. "I don't see the problem." "The problem," Sandra said with a forced smile, "is that we have a lot of people trying to scam their way into premium service. We are not running a charity here." Clara's heart dropped. Her eyes searched Sandra's face for a trace of compassion, but there was none. "I'm not scamming anyone," she said gently. "I'll need to call security." Clara looked around. People were watching. Some whispered. Others just stared. A group of pilots nearby paused to observe the scene. The humiliation rose inside her like a flood. She swallowed hard. "Please," she whispered. "You can call my husband." "I'm not interested in your stories," Sandra snapped. "You need to step aside now." A security guard approached at Sandra's request. He was hesitant, but Sandra gestured firmly. Clara stepped back, clutching her bag, her eyes burning. That's when a janitor nearby paused in his sweeping. He was an older man, probably in his 60s, with kind eyes and a quiet presence. He walked over slowly. He said softly. "You okay?" Clara managed a small nod. "I'll be fine." He looked toward Sandra and then back at Clara. "Don't let their words get to you. I've seen this happen too many times. Some people judge quick. Too quick." Clara looked at him with gratitude. And for the first time since the incident began, she felt a bit of peace. Then a low rumble sounded from outside the terminal. A sleek black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the private access entrance. The security staff stiffened. One of the attendants at the VIP desk whispered to another. "That's Damien Sinclair's car." Heads turned. Out stepped a tall man in a sharp-tailored suit. His presence alone turned every head in the terminal. Broad-shouldered, calm, and confident, Damien looked every bit the billionaire the world knew him to be. But those who truly knew him admired something far deeper than his wealth, his character. He moved swiftly, eyes scanning the crowd. When they landed on Clara, he walked toward her without hesitation. "Clara," he said warmly, taking her hand. "I'm sorry I'm late. Are you all right?" Sandra's face drained of color. You know her?" she asked, stammering. Damien turned to her with a cold, calm expression. "She's my wife." The silence that followed was deafening. Clara blinked, holding back tears as she clutched Damien's hand. She was humiliated, Damien said, his voice low but firm. Because she didn't look like someone you deemed worthy of kindness or respect. I didn't know. That's the point, Damien interrupted. You didn't bother to ask. You assumed. You judged. Behind him, the terminal staff stood frozen. A few passengers looked down, ashamed for laughing earlier. The janitor still stood quietly nearby, observing everything. Damien looked around. Do you think success is measured by clothes? Jewelry? The size of a handbag? Because I'll tell you something. The most successful person I know is standing beside me. She's humble, generous, and the reason I'm a better man. Sandra's lips quivered, but no words came out. Clara gently tugged Damien's arm and said softly, "Let it go. It's over." He nodded but turned to the janitor. You, Damien said. You treated my wife with dignity when no one else did. The janitor straightened, surprised. Just did what was right, sir. Damien reached into his pocket and handed him a business card. My company has an opening in facilities management. Double what you're making now. Benefits. Retirement. If you want it. The job is yours. The janitor's eyes welled up. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Clara smiled at him. You helped me when I needed it most. That kindness. I'll never forget it. Damien guided Clara toward the private lounge, and they walked away hand in hand. As they passed the crowd, the same people who had judged her now looked on in stunned silence. A few even lowered their heads. Inside the lounge, Clara sat down quietly. I didn't want to make a scene, she said. You didn't, Damien replied. They did. She looked at him, her eyes still a little red. Thank you for standing up for me. He smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. You've stood by me every day. This is the least I could do. Outside, the staff buzzed in whispered conversations. Sandra was nowhere to be seen. The janitor had disappeared to call his wife with the good news. And the terminal, once filled with scornful glances and cruel laughter, now held a different energy, one of reflection, humility, and a silent reminder that kindness matters more than appearances ever will. Because in a world that too often judges by what's on the surface, Clara and Damien proved something far more valuable. That true beauty lies in the heart. And love, when grounded in respect and truth, can silence even the loudest voices of ignorance.